Have you ever wondered about the real connection between wisdom and wholeness? I mean, are they separate goals? Do you chase one and then, hope the other one follows? Or is it something deeper? Today, we're going to explore this profound link between knowing the world and becoming more complete within ourselves. Right off the bat, this quote just completely flips the script. So many of us think that being whole means being perfect, flawless, no mistakes. But this idea suggests that's not the goal at all. True wholeness isn't about erasing our messy parts, it's about integrating them. It's about finally ending that war we so often wage against ourselves.
And that idea of integration leads us straight to this central concept, the core loop. See, wisdom and wholeness aren't a straight line from point A to point B. It's way more interesting than that. Think of them as this powerful, self-reinforcing cycle where each one is constantly fueling the other.
So here's how this loop actually works. The more wisdom you gain through experience and reflection, the more you start to feel integrated and whole. But then, and this is the cool part, from that state of wholeness, from that more unified perspective, you're able to see the world with so much more clarity. And that clarity, well, it allows you to cultivate even deeper wisdom. It's a continuous upward spiral.
Let's break down their roles to make it even clearer. Think of wisdom as the skillful means. It's the how-to. It's the set of tools and insights you use to actually walk the path. Wholeness, on the other hand, is the integrated state you arrive at. It's the new perspective, the new vantage point you gain because you made the journey. One is the path, the other is the perspective from that path.
Okay, so this all sounds great in theory, but how do we actually start building this loop in our own lives? Well, it starts with the first pillar, embracing your full self. The journey really begins by turning inward and getting radically honest about every single part of who we are. The famous psychologist Carl Jung had a name for this. He called it the shadow. Now, the shadow isn't necessarily evil. It's just all the parts of our personality we'd rather not look at. Maybe our selfishness, our anger, our deepest fears. And Jung's incredible insight was that real wisdom doesn't come from pretending these parts don't exist, but from consciously turning around and facing them. So it really begs the question, doesn't it? What's the real cost of all that denial? What actually happens when we shove those uncomfortable truths down into the basement of our minds? Well, here's the thing. They don't just vanish. Instead, they operate in the background, pulling our strings, creating this constant internal conflict. It's literally like trying to drive a car with one foot slammed on the gas and the other on the brake. You're just generating friction and fragmenting yourself from the inside out. The solution, then, isn't to get rid of the shadow, because you can't. It's to bring it into the light. Wholeness is this act of taking all these conflicting, messy parts of yourself and integrating them, consciously, into a single identity that you own completely. Okay, so once we start integrating our internal world, it totally changes how we see our external world. And that brings us right to our second pillar, connecting the dots. This is all about making a crucial shift in perspective, from getting lost in these tiny, isolated moments to seeing the much larger patterns of our lives. I mean, think about it. Think about a single, painful event, a failure at work, a tough breakup, a loss. Without perspective, our natural tendency is to just fixate on it, right? We zoom in so close that this one moment can feel like it defines our entire story. But wisdom is what gives us the ability to zoom out. It lets us see that this failure, as painful as it might be, is just one data point, not the whole graph. It's just one scene, not the entire movie. So, at its core, wisdom is really the capacity to connect the dots. It's the ability to see how all these different fragments, the good, the bad, and the ugly, all fit together into the beautiful, complex pattern of your life. And that perspective, well, that's what leads to the internal peace we call wholeness. So, if we've started to integrate our inner self and we've learned to see the bigger picture in our outer life, there's one last crucial step. And this third pillar is about our fundamental relationship with reality itself. The big question is this: are we fighting it or are we working with it? It really comes down to this choice. On one side, you've got resistance. This creates a state that feels like me at war with my life, where you're constantly pushing back against how things are. On the other side, you have acceptance, which means working with reality. One path leads to constant fragmentation, the other leads to internal peace and ultimately wholeness. And this internal war, it shows up in really common ways. We see it when we fight the natural process of aging, or when we resist the necessary emotion of grief. It's there when we deny our own mistakes, or when we just fundamentally reject the idea that life has to have lows along with the highs. Every single act of resistance creates another little fracture inside of us. Which brings us to this powerful metaphor. Life is a package deal. You can't just pick and choose the parts you like. You don't get joy without the possibility of sorrow, or success without the risk of failure. Wisdom is finally understanding this, and wholeness is the state you achieve when you stop trying to return half the package. All right, let's pull these three pillars together now. What if we thought about all of this as a kind of inner operating system? You know, the basic programming that's running in the background and shaping how we experience literally everything. Okay, check out this analogy. Think of your basic consciousness as the hardware, the raw potential you're born with. Then, wholeness is like the foundational operating system. It's that deep structural realization that nothing is truly separate. And wisdom? Wisdom is the application you choose to run on that system. It's how you use that deep knowledge to navigate your life with skill and with grace. So if we're going to boil it all down to one simple idea, it's this. Wholeness is that profound realization that nothing is actually separate, not the parts within you and not you from the world around you. And wisdom, that's the skill of actually living your life based on that incredible knowledge. So I'll leave you with this question to think about. If wisdom is the application running on your inner operating system, and you could choose to update just one piece of your programming right now, embracing your full self, connecting the dots, or accepting the package deal, which one would you start with?